Hey Tony, how you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, it's our pleasure. We are excited today. Our guest is the legendary bassist Tony Levin. He is known for his work on the Chapman Stick, upright bass, synthesizer. He is a has sessioned in over 500 albums. We'll be discussing his new solo album, Bring It Down to the Bass, and his upcoming tour, Beat, which I say upcoming tour, but Tony, how was last night at the Majestic Theater in Dallas?
Dallas was great. Thanks for asking. It was an upcoming tour. At what point? But we're about 10 shows, roughly 10 shows into it. We're having a ball. It's exciting and surprising. For those who don't know, this is called the Beat Tour, and we're playing music of King Crimson in the 80s, the three albums that Adrian Ballou and I were part of in the 80s. Discipline, Beat, and Three of a Perfect Pair. But this is not King Crimson. It's the two of us with Steve Vai on guitar, amazing player, and Danny Carey, the drummer of Tool, playing the drum parts. And so those guys are really kicking it, and it's a fun combination of classic material with a new approach to it. So the audiences are liking a lot. Let me add that too.
Awesome. It kind of feels like a super group doing a tribute to King Crimson.
Well, fortunately, I'm just a bass player. I just look at the music I'm playing. I don't have to figure out what to call it or how to label it, but I suppose it's a little of all of those things.
Awesome. Our listeners are very excited about October 22nd or 26th because of your big performance at the Taft Theater in Cincinnati, Ohio. How about you?
Yeah, good to come back to Cincinnati. Always good to come back to the Taft Theater. I played there, I think, in '95, going back to 1995 with King Crimson. Played there on a tour with Dream Theater with Adrian Ballou and I, in a band called the Crimson Project, doing music for King Crimson in a very different way than this. And that was in 2012, I think. So great to get back there. We're road dogs. We love doing good music on the road, and that's what you if that's your dream, then I guess you're lucky to be able to do it. And it's a particularly long tour. So I think 64 shows, two laps around the U.S. by bus. So it's a little more strenuous than most tours I do. But so far, I'm really loving it. And the 2 hours on stage more than makes up for whatever the other 22 hours involved.
That is awesome. And I know you probably have someone else who's in charge of tracking this information, but I just wanted to share you the good information that it's almost sold out. I mean, I was looking at tickets yesterday and seeing, hey, can I still get in there? And there were very, very few seats left to get.
Wow, you're right. I don't keep track of that stuff. Other people do, and that's nice news. Well, the important thing is people are really digging it, and the word is getting out that it's a musically worthwhile tour, and it's the way we're approaching this music, reapproaching it is valid. And the King Crimson fans, who are pretty particular, right? And they love their Crimson music, they're seemingly very happy with the tour.
That's awesome. I was going to say, I know I probably won't be able to get this inside information, but I'm still got to ask. Any chance there are going to be any special guest appearances on the tour?
Uh, you know what? I just heard that somebody said there's a rumor of that. I have not heard that rumor, and I'm sorry to tell you that there are no plans for anything like that.
Oh,
Or
dang.
there are, but it's all new to me, and I doubt it. It sounds like a thing that's wishful thinking that somebody came up with, and it's kind of the word spread about it.
No worries. So, how is Bring It Down to the Bass autobiographical based on your experience in your musical life?
Well, I'm always working on my own music when I'm not on tour. I rarely have time to finish up an album, so it's been a number of years. I had a lot of good material ready to present to other players to play on, and I felt good about that and carved out a couple of months earlier this year to finish getting the players I wanted on each track. You used the word autobiographical. Only later did I realize it is a little bit like that. That for one track, I brought in three of the players, the alumni from Peter Gabriel's band, the wonderful Steve Hunter, the Deacon Eagle, himself, guitar player. I met him on. No, I didn't meet him. I played on Peter Gabriel's first album and tour with Steve, but I knew him from Alice Cooper. Both played on Welcome Up to My Nightmare, the Alice Cooper album, and Lou Reed album. for that. So we go way back, and I thought having him play guitar on the piece, I thought, well, what if I bring in Larry Fast, the wonderful synth player from Peter Gabriel's first band, touring band, and Jerry Murata, the drummer on it, and so we had fun reassembling that group for one track. But on others, I bring in people like Mike Portnoy, my bandmate from Liquid Tension Experiment, and he's in Dream Theater. And I bring in Manu Katché, who I was on tour with last year with Peter Gabriel. He's a drummer with Peter, and I nabbed him on a day off. Anyway, I could go on forever about this, but I feel good about the album. Now it's available streaming, and the CD's out. And sometime in the future, there'll even be an LP. So I feel really good about it.
That's awesome. How does it compare to the last album, The Bucket List?
Uh, that was not a solo album. That was what I call a collaborative album with wonderful guys. Phil Koki, a fantastic guitar player and writer. My good friend and Jerry and I played together for years. Collaborative albums are really fun, and if you're lucky, you get to do a little touring with them. The built-in issue with them is there's never enough time to tour because everybody's in their own other band, so it's really hard to coordinate a tour. As indeed this Beat tour was hard to coordinate because the guys are very busy with other bands. So that was a very satisfying album. Great musician.
Nice. Now, I know this is going to be the equivalent of asking who your favorite child is, but I'm still going to ask, what is the favorite instrument to play live, and what's the favorite instrument to play in the studio?
Yeah, I don't have favorites, but anything. This new album is about my bassist. And by the way, I accompanied it with a CD with a 16-page booklet with my photos of a photographer, also with my photo portraits of my bassist in interesting situations, not just in a studio. But I got to say, I still don't have a favorite. I generally have a go-to bass, and the go-to bass on this tour is my a perfect pair bass from the name from the album of that name in the '80s, which is painted yellow with a blue kind of figure on it. The album cover of King Crimson in the '80s, and it's got a classic sound. It's got the strings way up high, so I can bang on them with one fingers. So that's my go-to bass at the moment. I won't say that it's going to be always my favorite bass, but it's a great bass. I'm lucky to have a lot of good basses, by the way.
Oh, definitely. It sounds like you have one heck of a collection. Obviously, you've got a lot on your plate right now with the album, with the tour, but what about your record label, Papa Bear Records? Do you all have anything exciting going on there?
Nothing coming up with Papa Bear Records. I've given it a rest, and I released my solo album on a different label happily. And who could do all of the work? So let me just be the artist and the musician.
Nice. Well, it sounds like there's a lot of great stuff going on. Before we let you go, where on social media, where on the web can we find out more about you?
That'd be TonyLevin.com. Thanks for asking.
It was our pleasure, Tony. We are excited. Like I said, we're especially excited about October 26th, Cincinnati, Ohio, Taft Theater. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
That was pretty cool. We just got done speaking with Tony Levin. Like I said, he's got that big performance October 26th, Taft Theater, Cincinnati, Ohio. But he's also got that new album, Bring It Down to the Bass. So a lot of great stuff going on for him. And it was a pleasure talking with him.